What's up? This is the Frame1 Lite. Comes in $120, it's got hot swappable mechanical switches, and it boasts the lowest latency in class, whatever that actually adds up to. The Frame1 functionally is about the same as the box, but it has a few key changes that I think separate it enough to be different. So let's take it back a second to when the Frame1 didn't exist. September 8th, 2020, I checked Twitter. An account called Frame1 tweeted this video announcing two new box controllers, the Frame1 Heavy and the Frame1 Lite. Importantly, they are shipping in Q4 of 2020, and there are two aspects to it. The two biggest takeaways are that the Lite is $120, and both of them are remappable. So needless to say, I was pretty excited. If you've ever seen my box review, you'll know that my biggest issue was that it wasn't remappable. For a controller that is supposed to be used for accessibility, not having it be remappable is stupid. It's really stupid. So I pre-ordered the Lite right away, because I figured that's what most people would care about. So, did the Frame1 Lite live up to expectations? I have no idea what I'm doing. Well, my Frame1 arrived, and it came with no cables. Sick. I'm serious. This is the actual footage from when I was unboxing it for the first time. So I messaged Greg Turbo, he sent some new cables out to me, it arrived in about a week, and I was finally able to use it. Software-wise, this thing is basically identical to the box. It's my understanding that using Dolphin makes it so the SDI nerf doesn't work, but otherwise this is nearly exactly what you would expect at tournaments. And as someone that used the box, yep, it's basically the same thing. Button placements, angles, functionality-wise, it's about the same. Where it deviates a bit is in the physical design of the controller. First off, thanks to my good pal Aileron, who let me borrow his box so I can record some footage. I was trying to get it back to him quickly, so the footage isn't exactly pristine, but you get the idea. Also, Aileron makes really good art, and you should check it out. Link is in the description, please. They're awesome. First up, right off the bat, the Frame1 is much smaller. I found it to be more comfortable in my lap as a result, but I think that may vary person to person. Also, it has a material on the bottom to keep it from sliding off, which I really like. The finish on the box is glossy and leaves lots of fingerprints, whereas the Frame1 Lite has a plastic frame and stays a bit more clean. The Frame1 Lite is also much less thick, but both are slim as sticks compared to the Smashbox. This thing is a monstrosity. I like the rounded corners of the Frame1 more than I like the corners of the box, personally. I will say the box feels like a higher quality product. Interestingly, the Frame1 forgoes the O-rings that you would find on the box and the Smashbox, but they don't actually use that space to make the buttons any closer together, which is a weird choice to me. The biggest difference is in the feel of the buttons, though, no doubt. The Frame1 Lite uses hot swappable mechanical switches, so it feels more like you're typing on a keyboard when you play it, and the box and Smashbox use arcade buttons, so sandwas, and it feels like you're playing on an arcade stick. I'm not saying one of them is better, but you'll probably be more used to the arcade buttons. A big bonus of that, though, is because these are hot swappable switches, I now have silent switches in these, which makes it so I can play it at night and not feel like I'm gonna wake up the whole house. Using switches also helps a lot with longevity. A, you can swap out the switches, and B, switches just last longer. If you'll ever actually get to the point where you'll notice that kind of longevity difference, you probably won't. You won't. You almost certainly won't. There is one more big thing about these buttons that you need to know, though. When the Frame1 was being delayed, one of the reasons for the delay was that the buttons didn't quite fit right. And so some people were having their buttons get stuck while they were playing. The solution that Greg ended up going with was to sand the buttons and then send the replacement buttons at a later date. Thankfully, that caused no issues whatsoever. Yeah, so it didn't do enough. unfortunately. A week into using the controller, my left button got stuck, my start button got stuck, and I couldn't trade them out for anything. Thankfully, all I had to do was wait for the replacement buttons to come at the end of June, which is why I've had this controller since April, and you are only getting this review now. But finally, I'm able to use the controller to the fullest though, right? No. The remapping software still, to this day, has not been released. One of the biggest selling points for this box was that it was remappable, and currently, it isn't. Now, by the time you're watching this video, it's entirely possible that the remapping software is out. He has been saying for a while that it's been on the way though, and I still don't have it. Hopefully top of the description though, I'll let you know whether or not the remapping software is out, and hopefully a download link to it if you have it. With that, I'm still using the same patch and the angles that the controller came with. For Melee, it's exactly the same as the box, and it's great. For Ultimate, and please don't tell me that you don't like Ultimate, it's fine, you can skip ahead. But for Ultimate, this patch is not good. It uses the same patch as the one that the box has, but with one big admission to that, and the big admission is the SOCD, which is what I talked about during my box review video. To explain this, I will have something on screen. If you are holding left, and then you tap right, and continue holding left, normally nothing will happen. It will go to neutral. What you should ideally have happen is that it will reactivate left when you let go of right. This makes it so you can have pretty good drift on your RARs, and it's a lot easier than doing it where you tap left, tap right, tap left. That might not sound like a big deal, but for Ultimate, it is. You're playing at a disadvantage because you're not getting the full drift that you normally would on a controller. I also find it just to be kind of annoying that you can't change it at all. Some people might not prefer it that way, but I think it's hard to argue that it's not the best way it should be for Ultimate. Also, it helps a lot for drift. I don't understand, it makes sense. If I'm holding left, I want to be going left. That seems reasonable, right? Am I crazy? Am I crazy here? Fucking. So yeah, the Ultimate patch is okay. No SOCD customization, no remapping, and I hate that. Last thing of note, I will say in terms of negatives for the controller, the area around my USB port is a little scuffed up. I'm not sure if that's the way for everyone. Also, there is no nunchuck port. Damn it! Let's talk about some of the good parts about the controller though. First of all, the cables are even better than they were with the box. If you remember in that video, I said that there was a USB-C to USB-A cable that could literally break your port on the box because there's some shitty knockoff. It was terrible. You shouldn't have used it. This time they sent a braided USB-C cable and it's wonderful. There's also that USB-C to GameCube controller, which is also super nice. I love that these use USB-C, they're so cool. Why can't the Smashbox have that too? There's also a carrying case, which is ridiculous. That they didn't need to do this. There's no reason that they had to do that, but they did, and it's awesome. I find this Velcro inside to be kind of annoying, but otherwise it's pretty good for carrying your controller. If you're wondering if you'll look like a Chad taking it to tournament, you will. Also included is a switch puller and some dental floss. The dental floss and switch puller are for replacing the buttons. I lost them immediately, but here is some footage of me replacing the buttons in my controller. I found this useless card laying around that I felt could help. Unfortunately, it broke immediately, so I had to sacrifice my Men's Warehouse card. I hope they aren't too mad at me. Eventually, I realized I did not actually need to use the card and floss, because I could literally just pull the buttons out of place. Those sanded buttons did not work well. The final and biggest feature of the Frame1 Lite isn't really a feature at all. It's the price tag. At $120, you are not going to find anything like this on the market. This is easily the most affordable controller and easiest to justify. The Smashbox comes out to $230, but does come with a GameCube adapter. And the box does not come with an adapter, and it's also $230, which seems harder and harder to justify now, doesn't it? Like seriously, if all you play is Melee, why would you get the box, right? This has the same buttons, the same angles, the same placements, and is $110 less. Now what you lose is the nunchuck port and the sandwall buttons. It's not a big loss. The box also has that super glossy, fingerprint heavy top, where this one is gonna stay clean for much longer. I don't know, something that gets better. To me, it doesn't feel worth it to get the box. I use my Frame1 for Melee over my Smashbox, even though I'm more used to my Smashbox, and I love the Frame1. It's great. It does feel different, but you just you can't get over the price tag, right? $120 is actually fairly reasonable. Okay, so should you buy a Frame1? It depends. If you play Melee and just Melee, this is the one for you. It's affordable, it's pretty high quality, and you're getting the same functionality as the more expensive box. If you play Ultimate or PM, you're going to want to either wait for the remapping software to come out and see how it works, or just get a Smashbox. If there's angle customization outside of Melee mode, it'll be a really solid choice. Overall, this controller has insane potential and is a really nice value. Also, it may be weird to hear me recommend the controller after I've kind of ragged on it for a little bit, but I want to make it really clear that the issues I had with this controller are almost certainly not the issues that you're going to have with this controller. You're probably not going to have to wait as long as I did to actually get the controller. You hopefully will get all of your wires and things when it originally ships, and the buttons are already fixed, and hopefully the remapping software will be out. My experience with the controller has been a little mixed as a result of these issues, but when you have it, you probably won't have those issues. Fun note, I never got to try the Frame1 Heavy, which is like the more premium version of this controller, but if there's enough support on this video, maybe I will. Also, if you want to see more of my stuff, I made a Meta Knight video that I think holds up pretty well and is kind of funny, so check it out. Anyways, that'll be it for me. I will see you guys all later. Deuces.